Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Lost Lagosians, a podcast where we talk about Lagosians, Nigerians, and Africans in diaspora. We also talk about topics and challenges that faces Africans outside of Africa. A little bit about my credentials. My name is Brodda Mike. I live here in the United States. I've been here for a little over 20 years now. I came to the US with a non-immigrant visa. We have a show called Lost Lagosians, if you're just tuning in. We have a podcast on YouTube called Lost Lagosians. We're also on wherever you listen to your podcast. So that's Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, and obviously Apple Podcasts. So this episode I want to call Embassode. I'm going to be doing a series called Embassode, and that's basically the embassy plus episode. So it's going to be Embassode. So this would be Embassode 001. Do not look that up in the dictionary. That word does not exist. I'm probably going to have to put a patent or coin that word. So you heard it first here. If this really becomes a word, credit goes to Lost Lagosians. So this is Embassode 001. And what I want to talk about today is primarily how do you demonstrate ties. So a lot of people, they try to apply for an immigrant visa outside of Africa and outside of African countries. So when you try to apply, they always ask for you to have proof that you have ties to your home country. So this Embassode 001, will be primarily discussing how to demonstrate ties to your home country. The issue of ties become important if you are applying for a non-immigrant visa. Let's say it's a J1 or B1 for the US, but a visa whereby you're not necessarily permanently immigrating, they're just coming in for a very short period of time. So one thing you have to do is to be able to prove that you have ties to your home country, and that's going to be the topic of this episode. So what you want to do is to convince the consular officer that the primary reason of your visit is for what you're going for. It might be on vacation or family trips, or it might be on vacation, or it might even be like a student visa for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And you need to demonstrate that you're going to be coming back to your home country. Especially if you are like undergraduates, you're going to be gone for 5 years, 4 years, you're pretty young. Or if you're going for grad programs, graduate school, it could be 2 years or 4 years, doctoral program. How do you demonstrate ties to your home country? The easiest way to document ties is with family. So does your family have a home? Do you have a house? Or do you have an investment property? Like does your parents or does your family have rentals where they rent homes and houses? Now for those in Lagos, for example, there's something called COO, and that's a certificate of occupancy. If you can get that, that'll be a good thing. Let's say one for your dad or for your uncle, and that shows that you have a landed property. Property is actually a big way to show that you have ties. Very importantly, if you can get anything that can show that you have document or landed properties, that would be good ties. It could even be something like a land certificate or land registration document or a receipt of purchase of a land that is in your name or your family name. That's a good thing, just to show that, okay, we've got this land. You're not going to leave and abandon the land, because land usually appreciates over time. And when it appreciates, that means you're going to be making more money. So you always want to come back. That means it'll be worth more and you want to come back. Another thing is also business interest. By business, I mean, does your family have a farm, like an investment of a kind of business? It could be where you're selling cars, like if your dad has a car dealership, for example. That's something to show that you have, business interest in the country you're living and you want to come back. It might even be something that's related to your studies. So you want to demonstrate that, okay, this thing I'm going to study for, if you're going for student visa, is something that definitely will be aligned to what I'm going to study, and I can always come back. Because then you don't need to technically look for a job, because your family has a business. And because of that family business, when you come back, you can always run that. So you're not going to have to stay wherever you're going in the foreign country and then look for jobs, which can be difficult sometimes. Another thing could be agricultural. Let's say your family is into farming, or you have a huge farm in a village. If you can get some paperwork or some documents, it could even be something from the government that shows that you have this particular farm that is part of your inheritance. And that's something you want to demonstrate that you have ties to. Now, a lot of people who come to the Western countries, they're trying to get out, look for an opportunity to get out. It may be tough to have all these ties to be able to demonstrate, and particularly in parts of West Africa, whereby it's kind of hard. Even with properties, it's difficult to be able to get like a certificate of occupancy to show that you own the home. In that case, there are other ways you can demonstrate that you have ties. An example will be Say you are from a region whereby there's problem with the water. There's a problem with the water. So they have dirty water. The water is not clean. So you can demonstrate that you're going to study. And when you're going to study, you have interest in helping the place have better water or better drinking water. As long as the study is related, that might not necessarily be a tie, but that just shows that you are able to demonstrate that you have some connection with what you're going to school for. If you're going for visit, another one might be if you have a job. Another time might be get a letter from your employer, get a letter from like your manager or supervisor attesting to your good character, and then get your pay stub or your salary payment certificates or your proof of payment for your salary. So get all your payments, your proof of payment for your salary, just something to show that you're getting a constant salary every month and that you wouldn't want to abandon that. Another thing you could use is a bank statement. We can go to the bank and get a bank statement that shows you have a lot of money in the bank. You wouldn't want to leave all that money in the bank to go to somewhere for 2 weeks and then just forget all that money. Another important point is regarding family with like kids and wives and uncles, father, grandfather, cousins that are older. So if you have a dad who's like in his 70s or 80s or 90s, that's a tie. And you're going for vacation, for example, you wouldn't want to leave your parents back there in your home country. You want to come back and take care of them. So anything you can use to demonstrate that you have, say, even aging parents, for example, that you want to come back, and when you come back, you take care of them. That's something that will definitely show that, oh, this person is definitely come back to their home country. Broadly speaking, ties to your country are things that bind you to your country, to your homeland, to your residence where you live. It could also be your job. Like I talked about, if you have little children, that could be a tie as well. Prospects of a future employment could be a tie. So if your country is building a huge power plant in your village and you're traveling abroad, that's a huge potential to show that, oh wow, there's going to be an employment here. When I come back, there's definitely an employment. A tie could also be if your country is sponsoring you. If you are getting to like a scholarship from the government of Nigeria, for example, that could be something that you could use for a tie, because you're going to have to pay some of that back in a lot of cases, and that means you're going to come back to make the payment. Part of paying it back is also to require that you work for like 2 years after you get your degree from abroad. So it's a way of just showing, okay, well, you have a tie to your home country, long-range goals and career prospects to your home country. Politics can be a big one if you're into political science and you're from an area like Sudan where the political structure is kind of nascent. You can be able to demonstrate that, okay, I'm going to read political science as a J1, F1 visa in the US, for example. And when I come back, I want to help my country to be better stabilized politically. Ultimately, there's no magical explanation or there's no document or certificate or letter which can guarantee the issuance of a visa. So it's very important that you try to get as much document as you can to demonstrate that you will be coming back. More importantly, be prepared to show proof that you have a permanent home in your home country, not just where you're going. Be sure that you're going to convince them that you're going back after whatever you're doing is completed. Listen carefully to the questions the embassy official will ask you. Even if they ask questions that you think is strange or you think it's weird or you're like, why are they asking me this stupid question? Just try to answer them. Let your documents speak for you. Make sure you have authentic documents. A lot of times they can tell if it's fake documents, so you just try to get the original. And it might be a distant relative that owns the land or an uncle that's not like your immediate. As long as the original, just be prepared to show that to the embassy officer and the embassy consular when they ask you. The most important thing is that you want to be concise, because you receive a lot of applications. They're always under time pressure and they make decisions very quickly. So just make sure that the first few minutes of the interview you're on point and that you give them a very strong impression that you really, really are going to be coming back. So at the end of the day, it's just, why are you going? What are you going for? How long are you going for? How can you convince the consular officer that you're going to be coming back? And the easiest way to convince them you're going to be coming back is by showing these ties that we've discussed. So in summary, if you're going to the embassy for a non-immigrant visa and you want to show ties that you're coming back to your home country, the ways to show ties are through financial connections, your bank statements, your job, your employment, your family, as well as landed properties or any kind of business that you have going on. Thank you for listening to this episode where we discussed about ties to your home country. Please feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and please feel free to like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, and good luck.